Yes, it is the air quality derby that you're going to be seeing from Delhi, the Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka game, which is an absolute redundant affair. Actually, maybe not with the ICC Champions Trophy qualification on the line and lots of other things because bragging rights, this is the Nagin derby after all. And we're here back on a Monday. Anythinhg is my name. I'm joined in, of course, by Nikhil Popa and Gukirat. I've just literally woken up, guys, as you can see. So apologies because celebrating India's win, man. And Sunday, cut me some slack. We'll talk all about it in the Monday Night Live show today at 8 p.m. But let me get to Gulkirat, who, of course, is still a West Indies fan from overnight. And he's on mute again. It's typical. Monday. What a start. What a start.
Yeah, probably I was parting like the people from West Indies. I wish that was true, but it isn't. Yeah, for some reason I actually did not realize that I am wearing the same T-shirt. Maybe it had to do with the color turban, the turban color that was available. So yeah, nothing much to read into it.
Okay,
Just
I'm
sheer
wearing, of
laziness.
course, the CDC merch, which is, of course, as you can see, control the controllables. And that's something that both these teams need to do today, right, Nix, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, my line here would tell you how the two batters have been. That they would rather be in the dark because the averages and everything are in that style. Today could be a good day to get some runs. Looks like a very good deck to bat on. Both Ian Bishop and Sanjay Mansekar said it should be a very good to bat surface. Shouldn't see much for spin. So if not here, then I don't know where. So good day for both sides to fill some runs and important game for Sri Lanka.
One of the things he said in the pitch report, Gurkirat, is that there won't be much spin. We've seen how Delhi's played out as a surface. Will it just be a run fest between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka today?
Can't be so sure because there has been some turn on available. It was there in that Afghanistan England game, and it's been some time. The last game happened in Delhi. Uh, Zampa got something from the pitch, but that game was pretty much done in the first innings. If there is no turn, it again would be it would be advantage Sri Lanka if there is no turn, because then Bangladesh spinners go out of the equation completely and Sri Lankan spinners haven't been doing much. However, if there is some pace and bounce like we've had in this World Cup with the pitch at Delhi, Chamira, Rajita and Madhushanka would enjoy it.
Keep your comments coming through, by the way. Sanjay Papigiri, good to see you. Good afternoon. Of course, you must be loving it after India's win, or maybe not. I don't know. Tell us who you, of course, support. I'm guessing Sanjay supports India. And, of course, for all you lovely other people watching this in due time, let us know who's going to win in the comments, Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. The toss is just going to happen. Next, you can jump in whenever and give us the update because I think you have the TV in front of you. But, Gurkira, just coming back to you with regards to Bangladesh. They won their first game and then they've just been absolutely diabolical, for the use of a better word. Why is that? Surely they could have got a couple of points somewhere else.
I think the question should be, how did they manage to win that first game, given how how Afghanistan have turned it around and been so good. Well, see, there shouldn't really be a why associated, because in the last 12 games, I think they've lost 2 wickets or more in the power play itself. So the batting is not kicking off. That was the problem even in the Asia Cup. They did not have a good time in the series versus New Zealand at home. And then, some tactics have been off. Shoriful not getting the new ball. He finally got it in that Netherlands game. Then the usage, uh, I felt that I felt that the last game was probably the best game wherein they played the right combination with the right balance. I felt their best 11 would be one where Shanto and Tamim open with Tauhid Hridoy at somewhere at 3 or 4. Maybe you could have Shakib at 3, Hridoy at 4 with Mushfiqur at 5 and Mohammedullah at 6 with 2 Mehdis to follow. But only Miraz has played. Other Mehdi hasn't played a lot, and they've batting orders been up and down. You don't know who's batting where. Tauhid Hridoy is again not being used well. So there are enough reasons if you ask why they've suffered or why they've not done well. like I said, the question should be that how did they manage to win that one game? Because at this point of time, you don't feel like Bangladesh can really compete with the bat. There's been only one innings where they've crossed 250, which was versus India, and outside of that, their batting has not done anything.
Yeah, in fact, Bangladesh have managed to at least win the toss and they've opted to field. Nikhil, your first reactions to that? Because even Shubham going on to confirm that in the comments, and Anirudh and the others will, of course, take your question. So, Shakib saying we want to bowl because it looks like a good surface. Is he contradicting himself there?
I think he also just added that there was a lot of dew, so which is why they felt bowling second may not be ideal. And again, there is something that they may have observed in the last few days, so they're going by that. I don't think Sri Lanka will mind batting first. We can definitely hear what we can read later what Kusal had to say about that thing, but I think it suits Sri Lanka well. You bat without the pressure of any scoreboard, get a good score under your belt, and then unleash the pacers under lights like how Jansen did against Sri Lanka itself. So shouldn't be a bad toss to lose, I feel, for Kusal.
Yeah, Bangladesh, in fact, have made one change. Mustafizur is not fit, and Tanzim, the skiddy pacer, comes in place of him. We'll, of course, talk about Bangladesh a little bit more in terms of all the key battles and X Factor selections, and, of course, our predictions. But keep the questions coming through. Anirudh B going on to ask us, Gokira, does Sri Lanka still have an outside chance? I don't think so. But all they can do is qualify for the Champions Trophy because they play Bangladesh today and then they finish their campaign in Bangalore against New Zealand. So something of a solace or a silver lining that they can get, a consolation, but I don't think they have a chance, right? He's on mute again. This man, not once, but twice.
For semis, I don't think so. But yeah, they if they win today, they could have one step in that Champions Trophy qualification. And yeah, I think Tanzim, the player who's come in, this is probably the only player that was left in the squad that hadn't got a game yet. And today he's gotten that game. So Bangladesh have used all 15 players in the squad today. I mean, in this World Cup. And there have been two changes for Sri Lanka. Dhananjay De Silva's back in, and so is Kusal Pereira. Again, it reflects how muddled the thinking can be, because if you've dropped a player and you bring him back after just one game,
He
it
was
doesn't.
injured.
He was not dropped.
No,
Dhananjay
Kusal
De
was
Silva.
injured. Kusal was injured.
Okay, no,
Dhananjay का कोई फायदा होता है. हाँ.
I was talking about the DDS. So DDS was dropped in the last game, and now he's back. So these kind of moves reflect, what the state of the management and the team is. We discussed this about, England as well. Too many changes. So yeah, it is reflective of where the teams have been with regards to their strategy, with regards to their game plans. You can understand why it has happened with Sri Lanka, because there have been too many injuries. But as far as Bangladesh is concerned, really not don't have much to say, because we've spoken enough of what all have not worked for them.
Nikhil, let me ask you this. With regards to this fixture in the last, say, arguably 4 or 5 years, it's become a huge fixture for the fans. And that's what we also got a pulse of. And we spoke to a lot of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka fans every time we encountered them in fan camps. Do you think today, because both these teams have had shit World Cups, today there could be some silver lining? If you win today, bragging rights, and it just makes fans happier. Do you think at least the cricketers can look at it from that perspective?
So I think they'll just want to win. In terms of fans, I think the win might just be a consolation of sorts for the expectations that they've had from the side. So that is, and again, the Champions Trophy bit is still there, and it is something to very well play for. And it isn't that you'll miss out and probably play a qualifier. It is not like that. You will miss out straight up. There is nothing else that can get you there. So I think that motivation itself should be good enough. With regards to Sri Lanka, I still feel there is a lot more hope in terms of possibilities and players who are coming through. I think with Bangladesh, they'll really have to dig deep into what kind of play they want to, and what kind of approach they want to go at, in terms of this is how we want to play, as Padi said, right roles, right batting orders, and consistency in that thing. So being flexible is one, but being random won't help.
Okay. Due again saying Sanjay Papirgiri, I'm fed up now. Paras Arora saying Sri Lanka get Kusal Pereira back. Last four matches at Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. I thought one aggressive opener was a must. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I love Karuratne, but I love him in whites and I don't love him in white ball clothing. Kusal Pereira, someone like I'm guessing a fucker's man. You can get really pissed off with him as a fan, but then once he gets a go big time. More comments coming through, which is always good to see in a Monday afternoon. Just wanted to put out this thought: who among these two teams had the worst campaign? I feel Sri Lanka had much worse than Bangladesh, as they had an upper hand and a balanced side coming to the World Cup but underperformed. Do you agree, Gurkirat?
No, I think Bangladesh have clearly had the worst campaign. Sri Lanka, if you look at the first two games, they fought. It wasn't like they were the games that they've lost, they've still had a chance to be in the game. uh, they after conceding 428 they still crossed 300. Against Pakistan, they were on course for a 350 plus total, and they had Pakistan two down early, so they had their chances. Against India, we spoke of in the last game in the mid inning show that they had a really good new ball spell. They could have easily had India three down in the first 5-6 overs, and then the game would have been slightly different. So they've still had chances. They've still competed to some extent. They got to a good start versus Australia as well. They had a 120 run stand, and then they collapsed. So for them, it's about things not coming together. It's not been a complete no show. For Bangladesh, it's been a complete no show in pretty much every regard. So I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Okay, and he goes on to say that it's fair, your point over there. Melville always having something to say in the comments, saying, fact, Bangladesh has never won against Sri Lanka in World Cup. So that's something to, of course, keep an eye on. And Sanjay, again, being chatty, love it. The most underhyped, best Asian rivalry in recent times, unlike some overhyped rivalries. I don't know who he's taking a jab at, but if you guys know, you know. And Nani Kofo, good to see you. It's been a while. If anyone is doing the match preview, then it is definitely a job. I mean, essentially, I know what
I
he's
mean,
meaning
I
to
think
say.
he means it only for today.
Yeah, 100%. Will New Zealand Sri Lanka be first watch? I hope not. I hope not. I've got tickets for that, and I've got tickets for the India Netherlands game. And I'm not selling it to anyone before you guys get in my DMs. Right, enough of me. Let's get, of course, some stats on the screen right now, because Sri Lanka's batters are going to be coming about in just a bit. And as you can see, most runs for Sri Lanka at the 2023 World Cup. No prizes for guessing, but only time will tell, of course, how they end their campaign. I want to get Paji and Nikhil's thoughts about various bunch of things, the first of which is the key battles to look forward to. Especially in that first innings, boys, talk to me. Sri Lanka's batters haven't really been the best, but Bangladesh bowlers also. It's almost like trash versus garbage. Sorry, Sri Lanka. Sorry, Bangladesh. But Gurkirat, what are the possible key battles you envisage, especially in this first innings? Anything which comes to mind straight away?
You'd have to say the spinners coming in, the Bangladesh spinners coming into play, and trying to restrict the Sri Lankan middle order, because if they get a good start, then containing them could be difficult. And we've seen how even after a good start in a few games, when now Kusal Mendes, since he's become captain, he's not been able to add a lot of runs. Sri Lanka after that first game hasn't been able to convert those starts, as we saw in that we saw in that game versus Sri Lanka. We saw that in the game in one other game. I think even against Pakistan, he had a platform. Samra Vikrama has been consistent, so has been Pathum Nisanka. But outside of those two, you really don't know who's going to step up. So if one of them, if say Nisanka doesn't have a good day today, so then you will need those 3, 4, 5 to stand up. And against that, I think it would be the how the bowlers go. The other is, I feel today, how I expect some swing to happen in the second half. So I feel uh, even if Sri Lanka are able to post a total of 250, it could be competitive, because I expect Madhushanka and and Chamira to really test the top 3-4 of Bangladesh. And if the pitch has pace, then Chamira could really be a handy. He bowled really well in that first spell in the last game, and Madhushanka is the second highest wicket taker in the power play. So he's been doing well. So I suspect that to be a bigger battle. But in the first innings, it's going to be between the middle order and the spinners.
Yeah, good point about Madhushankar, man. He's what, next 5 wickets away from equaling, I think, Murli's and Vas's record in a World Cup tournament. That'll be something. I think he's level with Malinga right now in that
Yeah, he's level with
2007.
Malinga.
So honestly, Dilsha Madhushankar has probably been the silver lining for Sri Lanka this time around, given how many injuries were plaguing them before the tournament. What are the key battles you envisage, especially from a fantasy lens as well? Do you think that you can give a couple of nice nuggets, Nikhil?
Nuggets, this is the game where you want to take all the 100 bowlers because you can't trust any batter in this game. Uh, the three batters that you'll probably take eyes closed are Kushal Mendes, Sadira Samaravikram, and Mehmudullah. Because apart from that, everybody else has had some struggle. Nisanga doesn't have great average against left arm pace. There are quite a few today. Then you go to Asalanka, as Paji said, hasn't come good so far. You go to Kusal Pera, who's come back. We never know when he'll come out. Who knows? Today might be the day. You go on to other side. Shanto is scoring in binary. I don't know when he'll get past that figure of get a start because he's been among the runs. So you want to back a lot of people, but you have no confidence in terms of will they do better. You have Litan Das, who I have no clue how to read him. Some days he looks like okay, if he takes care of the first 15 balls, he'll be great, but then he gets a start and then he's just not there. So today could be the day where you back a lot of bowling. I am looking forward to how Taskin Ahmed goes bowling first. I think he's someone in the absence of Fizz with Tanzim Sakid. I think he'll want to lead from the front. I think he's bowled well overall. With Choriful, who's been there, always doing well. So could be a very good day for Taskin Ahmed to come good. And again, shorter boundaries means you can tempt the batters into the horizontal bat shots. Okay, there is a shorter boundary. Go try and go have a hit, and then it could eventually bring out your downfall as well. So bowlers from both sides is what I'm looking forward to. Dilshan under lights. Very keen to see if Thikshana does something. He hasn't had a tournament to remember so far. But under pressure, if there are runs on the board, it could be handy to see him bowl to the Bangladesh batters later.
Okay, I want to know what Gurkira thinks about his X factors and whether he includes a certain favorite of his. Just wait and watch. Right. Will Mushfiqur Rahim be Gurkirat's X factor? Because the guy, I think, has not had a tournament to remember. I think he's just got, 171 runs at an average of 28. So, Paji, you can't defend him again, or can you?
No, I'm not defending him. I feel for Sri Lanka, the X factor could be Chamira today, bowling under lights. Uh, Madhushanka, you expect him to do well now, given the kind of tournament he's had. Chamira bowled well, and I think that if there is some pace on offer, he can also move the ball around. So, yeah, I think Chamira could be the X factor. For Bangladesh, it's really tough to pick an X factor because you really don't know how that. I've bagged Litton a couple of times. I had Mohammedullah as my X factor in the last game, but now you feel like Nikhil said that only Mohammedullah's sort of giving you any reliability in terms of runs. Litton has scored runs in the last game, so I don't think today he'll score. He's just
Does Shanto give you conviction at all? The left-hander?
No, not really. So, like I was joking last night, maybe Bangladesh's X factor could be the AQI in Delhi because it might just, they might just be more accustomed to it as compared to Sri Lanka. But if you really had to go one, I could go for Tanzim Shakib, the fast bowler that has come in, because in that one game that he played in the Asia Cup when he bowled well versus India, he bowled really well. So if there is movement on offer, uh, he could come into play, but you're not really sure if he'll get the new ball or will he be the first change. So that is something remains to be seen. But yeah, nothing has worked for Bangladesh, so might as well take a punt on Tanzim Shakib to be the X factor.
Okay, I'm going to stick with my beloved Janet in terms of Kusal Pereira for sure. Another biggie today. Hopefully, love to see that man perform because every time he just gives me a little bit of a glimpse of Jayasuriya from the past. Nick, who are you going for? Are you going for someone that you love or have loved?
From Sri Lanka, two names, both I think could be very, very handy and crucial today in Matthews and Sadira. Again, Matthews has enjoyed batting against Bangladesh in the past, and again they are batting first, which is what makes him and Sadira both very crucial players for Sri Lanka to just have a very good batting innings and where they can look to outbat, Bangladesh if that's possible. And then Matthews again with the ball, I think will come into play, despite them having DDS and Thikshana because both of them haven't taken a lot of wickets. So there is all round value there for Bangladesh. It is, I mean, you would want to go with one of Shanta or Rida, but again,
I
their
knew
batting
it. I
order.
knew it.
But I'm not going with them. I'm not going with either of them because the problem is the batting order. You don't know where they will bat, and then that
Yeah.
really makes it very, very tricky. So I'll stick to Taskin Ahmed with the ball bowling first. If he is able to keep Sri Lanka in check, then the batters after those musical chairs might still have some chance.
Okay, so it's good to see that my X Factor will be facing up against your X Factor in
Yeah.
just a bit. And of course, time to give you some trivia right now before we talk about Shakib and take some more questions and wrap up this preview. So there we have it. Next segment is Did You Know? Right, that was a quick sting if there was any. And here is the Did You Know? Chaminda Vas, the man that we all love, at least the best left armour Asia has ever produced, arguable. People would say Wasim Akram, but never mind. Vas bagged a hat trick in the first three balls of an innings against Bangladesh in 2003. I remember that. The first and only bowler to pick up a hat trick of the first three balls. Gurkirat, be honest, were you watching cricket at the time, 2003?
In 2003, I was just watching India games, and that was just the World Cup. So I know this happened, but I don't have a recollection of watching this game. I think there was another hat trick in that World Cup. I think Brett Lee also took one, or no?
Brady also took one. He
Yeah,
took one
because
against Kenya.
2007 he took one against Bangladesh in the T20 World Cup. That I remember. That I remember watching, but
2003, I think, against Kenya.
yeah, might have been. So 2003, I was just watching India games. It's too young.
Okay. Chavinda was the what a absolute exploit over there. Let's talk about someone who, of course, has been a fantastic, great fish for Bangladesh, Shakib Al Hassan. I mean, what's up with him, guys? Essentially, we talk about milestone approaching for Shakib and all of that, and he's definitely one of the best all rounders the white ball game has seen. But do you think this tournament has done him more harm than good? And I'll start with Nikhil here, and then Guki, that you could chip in as well.
I think his batting numbers have been going down for a while, and again, it's just reflecting in how he's played in this tournament. If you guys read the tactical previews, well, you would have seen, and again, we've discussed this enough in the past about how bowlers have kind of worked him out. That this is where has had all of his troubles, and he's been struggling to get past that short ball problem that has troubled him, which at times can happen when you're low on confidence. And we've discussed again that he hasn't looked himself with the bat at all, which is very, very surprising. You cannot put a finger down to, okay, this is why it is, this is why that is, because with the ball is still canny, still keeping runs in check, still bowling well, but with the bat he's just not arrived, which is slightly sad. But again, probably alarm bells for Bangladesh that you'll have to ease their workload however you can, in whichever shape and form.
Yeah, and it was, of course, pointed out by Pramod Ananta, one of our writers, in terms of the contrasting fortunes, should I say, for not just Shaki, but Bangladesh as well. And you can read more of it with regards to all the stats. Shakib Al Hassan in World Cups 29, 2023 is chalk and cheese, really, what he's done that time around compared to this time around. But he has, two more cracks to have a say in this year's World Cup, which will, of course, give Bangladesh fans something to cling on to. Of course, they play Sri Lanka today, and then they play, I think, Australia in Pune, is it? To finish off their campaign. So,
I think
guys,
it's
look.
or is it Pune? No,
Not sure.
Wankhede is Australia, Afghanistan for
Yeah,
sure.
Hussain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Pune. It's Pune for sure. By the way, Santa de Cruz saying would like Bangladesh to win so that England remains at the bottom of the table. Man, it would be historic with all the Nagin sort of puns going over there. Sanjay going on to say, really wonder what would happen to Bangladesh once Shakib, Mushfiqur, Mahmudullah retire. Might go Sri Lanka away as well. They haven't groomed any replacement for their legends. I know that they won that Under 19 World Cup, but what is the stage on that? Do you guys know in terms of do they have ready-made replacements? Obviously, it's hard to replace the big shoes of these three, but it won't be as bad as Sri Lanka's transition, or would it be, Nikhil?
I think it all depends on the intent of the people involved. I think a lot of it eventually revolves there. So they have people, we've seen a lot of them get games as well, but you'll have to really give them a good captain, a good management, and have patience with them so that you are able to see whether they are able to grow in that role. So that is where I see you have the likes of, uh, again, it will not be one guy can replace Shakib. It is not possible. So let's not even expect that to happen. But you have people who can fill that role, but they'll have to be given consistent run so that they are able to give their best.
Just on the captaincy front, Gurkirat, like I'm putting you on the spot here. After these three kind of retire, is there anyone you look at that team and be like, yeah, he can lead the nation, he can lead this team?
At this point of time, you'd probably have to go with Mehdi Hasan Miraz, because he's someone who's assured of a spot in the 11, probably across all formats. But ideally, they need someone like Mashrafi Murtaza, because I think more than having the skill, they need someone who's inspirational as a leader, because that guy, you remember, I mean, he played half of his career on one knee, and he was still able to get the team together, galvanize the unit. You could just see it how they were on the field. They really used to scrap very hard. Even after making below par totals, they really used to scrap their way through. Now you feel that there is that quality missing, and of course, not wanting to blame Shakib here, because he also got the captaincy 2 months before, because it was Tamim who was the captain. His injury issues and fitness related issues also did not help. So if you look at the players who are there, there's only who Mehdi Hasan Miraz, who's a consistent part of the playing 11s. There is Mustafizur, there are other players, but Taskin has had injury issues. Then we've seen that bowlers don't make great captains as well. They have a lot more thinking to do. So yeah, maybe Miraz being an all rounder could help, and it's also going to come down to what help or what setup is provided to him, because if you have a captain who's going to be directly answerable to the board president, and have his not have much of a say, just being someone who's executing whatever is being told, then you can make anyone the captain. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think they kind of chose Litton for an odd game against Afghanistan as captain, and he won that game in 2023. But they've always kind of had batting captains. Momin al-Haq comes to mind recently, or go back to Habibul Bashar as well. You can pick and choose, really. Before I just get their predictions and, of course, wrap up proceedings, Nani Kaur asks us about last night a little bit, which we'll, of course, talk about. But Gurkirat, you were pretty animated about it yourself in the WhatsApp group. What did you make of it? Do you think that this whole particular DRS has been a joke, or do you think it's just been tailor-made for India, this entire World Cup?
uh, Tailor made for India is stretching it too much, because it's been iffy even in matches not involving India. It could come back to haunt India in the knockouts, and no one can complain, because it's been how it's been from the start of the tournament. I think Australia is the team that has suffered at the hands of DRS the most. Uh, See, to
But was
me,
this out yesterday? I mean, the Klaassen one, because you could see his off stump and middle stump, and like, how the
I
hell is
was
it all three reds?
I was very, very surprised with it returning all three reds. I thought, maybe it could have been umpire's call on stumps. The pitching in line sort of part you still understand, but I don't know. It's just been, see, it was more out than the howlers that have there been. But if I was the umpire, it would have been difficult for me to give it out, given what the angle of the delivery was, where it was pitching, and how just I know the ball was turning there, but I just felt it was, yeah, I just felt that the angle would have been such that it was difficult to sort of come back and return hitting on stumps. Umpire's call I can understand, because Jadeja had a similar appeal versus Rizwan, when umpire gave it out in Ahmedabad, and I thought the impact was much closer, and
Exactly. And that was
the
missing.
and that was missing. So yes, again, different pitches, so can't really compare it exactly. But Jadeja at the pace that he's bowling is also not a huge turner. So for me, there were enough doubts, but we've spoken enough of the DRS. I thought even the Labuschagne LBW that day versus Mark Wood, he was jumping when the impact was made. So again, had it been umpire's call, it was fine because the umpire gave it out on the field, but it returned hitting. So that is a bit surprising. And
Yeah,
I'll
it's
again,
questionable,
I'd
man.
again like to mention that the problem is not the umpire's call bit, because if you look at the rule itself, the rule is subjective. It says if the umpire is deeming it to be hitting the stumps. So if the umpire feels that it is hitting the stumps, it will be out, regardless of how you whether there is DRS or no DRS. But when you have the technology, you feel that at least it should give the sort of correct judgment in terms of what is hitting and what is umpire's call. And now I've started to think that maybe some of the calls or some of the appeals are being given out by the umpire because they've seen that the ball tracking is returning this to be hitting. So when you consistently see that happening, you feel like, okay, if the ball tracking is going to return this as hitting, I might as well give it out, because I don't want my personal record or my decision making to come under question, right? Because I think umpires are also judged on this basis, that how many decisions of theirs are overturned. So if you're seeing the ball tracking behave like that, I'm sure it is going to, because that is what happened when the DRS came in initially. Before the DRS, umpires did not used to give LBW out on the front foot versus spinners, but it
Yeah.
changed because the ball tracking came in. Umpires could see it themselves. So I am confident that somewhere that iffy ball tracking is also affecting the decision on the field of the umpires.
And it just honestly, it's a trickle effect even to the batters. I think Kevin Peterson mentioned this as well. If he kind of played more pre-DRS, he would have been more susceptible because he used to plant his front foot forward and all of those little nitty gritties. Next, we'll talk about the whole India South Africa game at large in the Monday Night Live show, of course. And I'll good to be seeing you in the post-match review of things as well. With it, if you've just joined us, you can probably rewind the show. We've given all our X factors. We've spoken about everything. We'll just have to do one more thing before we end. Predictions. So what are we going for and why? I'm going for 293 randomly.
I think Sri Lanka will cross 300, 305 or something. And yeah, if they do that, they should win the game.
Okay, 305, 293. Nikhil,
329 for 6. Cheers.
329 for 6. Okay, love it. So Sri Lanka
Sadira
again.
scoring 100, Nikhil.
Kusal Pereira, boy.
Pereira, Kusal or Sadira, whoever you want to.
I would love to see Pereira. I mean, Samara Vikrama, no offense, he's a good batter, but like aesthetics-wise, Pereira just pale dega. Okay, anyway, enough of my fluff. Thanks for watching.
Nikhil has a special place in his heart for some other Pereira.
Oh,
of course,
okay.
beyond all of these comparisons. Proud Pereirian.
To find out what that is all about, join us in the match review, of course, after the Bangladesh-Sri Lanka game. And of course, not to forget, 8 p.m. Monday Night Live will be back. And we'll see you then. Goodbye. We'll see you soon.